One of the ways we can do this is through the depth of knowledge chart. And you can see the 4 levels. I'll go over them really quickly. Level 1 is recall, or basically answers that you can find in text. You can point right to it. It's stuff that is common knowledge. It's not really a deep thinking activity, such as the who, what, when, where, why. When you get to level 2, you're getting a little more conceptual. The way I explain it to the kids is it requires discussion. It's not just a yes or no or a simple answer. They have to kind of think a little bit deeper. What this caused what? Compare endings, compare stories, infer what you think is going to happen, those kind of things. When you get to level 3, it's more strategic, takes it to another level, hypothesize, differentiate, investigate, construct. And level 4 is a tough one, and I don't think a lot of our kids hit this, but it's extended thinking, and this one is like apply concepts. I think a better way to explain it is, are they able to convey how it would affect the world, society, or their lives in the future? That's that extended thinking. Any questions about that so far? Hey, Steve. So we're going to go to this link, and I'm going to have you guys, it's a very short link. We're going to read it, and then I'm going to show you how I would put this into practice. And I promise it wasn't a sexist post. I just thought it was interesting. Did you click on it, Steve?
Yes.
And I'll read it so we can get through it maybe a little bit faster. But the woman that invented the, what was it?
The washing machine.
The washing machine.
Dishwasher.
Automatic dishwasher. So Josephine Garris Cochran was an independent woman of the mid-1800s. When she married husband William Cochran, she took his last name but added an E to the end. When she realized no one had yet created a proper automatic dishwasher, she invented one herself. Josephine led a comfortable life in Shelbyville, Illinois. William was a successful businessman, and the couple often held dinner parties in their large home. She even had servants to clean up afterwards. But one morning after a party, she found some of her good china had gotten chipped. She was so upset, she decided to wash the dishes from herself from there on out. It wasn't long before Josephine wondered why no one had invented a machine to do the job, and soon she had sketched out the idea that would become the first commercially successful automatic dishwasher. Her design used water pressure to clean, just as today's dishwashers do. It had wire compartments for the dishes, which fit into a wheel inside of a copper boiler, and a motor turned the wheel while soapy water sprayed onto the dishes. It was practical, but Josephine had a hard time trying to hire a mechanic to build her machine the way she wanted, instead of insisting on building it his way. She finally found a man named George Butters to work with, and the Garris Cochran dishwashing machine was patented in 1886, 3 years after her husband died.
Oh.
Can you scroll up? Thanks. Josephine thought her invention would appeal to other housewives, but it was more of a hit with hotels and restaurants, maybe because it was an expensive appliance for a regular family to buy. She opened her own factory in 1897 and personally sold her machines nearly up until her death in 1913. In 1926, her company was bought by Hobart, which eventually became the modern appliance giant KitchenAid. I didn't know it became KitchenAid, but... So wait, go back to that article, though. Okay, so if we scroll down, the first thing I would ask the kids is the who, what, when, where, why. So go ahead, scroll back a little bit. So the who, one of the first things I tell them to do, too, is look at the title and see if they can determine what the article is going to be about. This is pretty straightforward. I also tell them to look at the date, because if it's really beyond 5 years, it's probably not horribly relevant.
Sorry, guys. I pushed the wrong button.
The other thing is the author. Sometimes the author has the credentials next to it, and you can generally tell if it's a genuine source. So on this article, I would ask the who. Anybody want to tell me who we're talking about?
Josephine.
Josephine. And what are we talking about? What did she do?
Dishwashers.
Yeah, she created the dishwasher. And then when?
In 1883.
Sure. And why? Why did she do it?
China
She
was
got
chipped.
tired of her China being broken.
Oh yeah. And she was,
didn't wanna-
I thought, what a rich person problem that her servants broke her china, right?
Yeah. Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, those dang servants. And then who, what, when, where? Where did this happen?
She was.
Always.
Illinois. Shelbyville, Illinois.
Exactly. So you've done the level ones, right? So what I would say to them now is, okay, I want, and I'm going to challenge you guys to do this, to come up with a higher level question. It has to be a level 2, 3, or 4 about this story. It cannot be something you find in the text. So take a minute and come up with a question.
This is a Shelbyville idea. It's not a Springfield issue, so therefore the Homer didn't have anything to do with it.
What? What are you talking about?
Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Oh,
Remember, he was going to make the monorail, and the guy says, "Oh no, this is a Shelbyville idea," and so they conned him like in the Music Man. Anyway, I'm sorry. Jennifer's all, if you're not going to take this serious, I'm going to go use my time somewhere else.
no, Homer is very serious.
Don't.
So does anybody want to share a question?
I would be curious as to her education. Maybe did she have any formal education, or what made her want to invent this other than she saw a problem?
Good, good. And that would create discussion, right? Or a little bit of research. So you're talking a level 2 or 3, but if a kid posed that, you'd be like, that's awesome. We're going to be doing a little discussion there.
Might say, excellent.
Oh my God, what did you eat for lunch? Anyone else want to share a
You
question?
might, I mean, I would wonder if she'd ever invented anything else. It's pretty sophisticated for a first invention.
Oh, true. Did she have any other patents?
Mhm.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah, good. Anyone else?
Why did she have to turn to a man to make this? Why wasn't there a woman available that could do it for her?
That was,
That's
yeah.
a
And
great
what was it
question.
about Mr. Butters that made her finally say yes? Was he the one that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Given the time frame.
And do you see where those questions would take a discussion? Then you'd get into the whole women weren't allowed to do those kind of things back then. And so it would generate an incredible conversation. And one of the things I've learned teaching elementary school online is that this stuff the kids love. I think I told you before, anybody who had been here before, that I had a picture of a bunch of monks in this strange looking building, and the kids came up with stuff, and I literally sat there and was like, wow. And we're talking 4th, 5th, and 6th. So I was quite impressed by that. Okay. So this is what I would do with the kids. This is something I did with the kids. And then we would debrief and kind of talk about, okay, so we know this, 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 and this. Now you talked about these questions. So, and sometimes you could generate a whole little research thing off of it, depending on how much freedom you have. But any comments, criticisms, questions with this? Okay. We're going to do the same thing for this photo. You might need to zoom it up a little bit. I want you to do the who, what, when, where, why real quick on your own, and then generate one higher level question for me.
Love it.
Get over here. Hey. Come on. Come on. Oh my gosh. Come on. Let's go. Thank you. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Sorry, man. Come on. Let's go. Come on.
And I can't seem to get this to blow up.
That's okay.
Come. Let's go. Come on.
This must be Pennsylvania.
Oh, Jesus. Come on. No, you guys are making me mad. Sorry, guys. Sorry, they left me with puppy duty. Hey, get over here. Okay, so looking at this, who can we surmise is in this picture?
Well, they
Some employees,
look,
citizens. I don't know.
they
Like-
look like
Looks like
they're,
teenagers.
Oh, teenagers. Okay.
they look like they're are workers in the field or farm or something, the way they're dressed.
Good. And obviously, where are they?
At McDonald's.
They're in
And
Pennsylvania. This is Amish people.
You think it is Amish people?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
possible. Who, what, obviously, what?
Or this could be Europe.
They could have come from some kind of festival or carnival or like farmers share thing because the Amish wouldn't go to McDonald's. Sorry.
Oh, you're ruining Steve's hopes.
Sorry.
Maybe they're like the Rush Springer. I don't know.
That's true. That's their wild outing.
Woohoo! So we've got that, and then we got why. That might
They
be
don't-
fairly
They don't have a traditional car.
right, and they're hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, when? So this is something that I found that the kids get it, and it surprises me, is to look at the light, see if you can determine whether it's daylight, nighttime, morning, afternoon. Sometimes the way the sun's setting, they can read it and say, oh, well, it's either sunrise or sunset. You can sometimes tell what season it is by their clothes. You could also tell if somebody was a horse person, they might be able to tell by the fur on the horse, whether he's fluffy for the winter or not. Different things that you can use to be a detective and figure this out. The other thing is you might be able to read something in the reflection of the windows, stuff that I would have never thought of. Sorry?
Branding of McDonald's too by year they've had. To
Yes. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. And all of these things get the kids thinking, right? So I think it's important. Oh my God. Hey, I think it's important for them to, when you start with the who, what, when, where, why, they get their brain going and they can come up with higher level questions after that. Did anybody do their higher level question and share it out?
I just was thinking like, what was their reason or motivation for going through the drive-through with this contraption?
Excellent, because then the kids would discuss probably some silly and probably some really good reasons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Great conversation point. Anyone else?
they won the tractor build and they decided to get lunch after they won first prize.
Perfect.
I was
Oh,
wondering.
wagon build.
I was wondering if they maybe took this from the farm without telling anybody, but they don't look real worried, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
They probably figured their Amish father would never find them. So do you see how these questions could generate, though, some serious discussion, and it makes them think outside the box? It's not just a simple look at something and answer a question. It requires conversation. And the cool part about this is even the kid that doesn't talk is thinking.
Mhm.
You know, they're still generating questions, and ultimately, you know, yes, we'd love them to be all great communicators, but we know reality is they're not all. And some of them are really scared to speak out, but they are getting it. You can tell by their eyes and whether they're engaged in this. Okay, Steve. So this is a elementary school class with rigor in action, because we talked about rigor, and of course, rigor would involve you utilizing the DOK at some level. You know, do you have to obviously constantly reference the circle? No. But one of the things I found with the kids is when I first started this with them, they came up with yes and no questions, or who, what, when, where questions. And sometimes I could show them that by just changing the first word. So instead of why did the kids go to McDonald's, I could say, explain what you think is the reason these boys went to McDonald's. And it takes it to a different level just by a simple word. And sometimes guiding them and telling them, you know, you kind of got root words right there. You can pick from that. And that sometimes takes away that mystery to them. So go ahead, Steve.
Is this the video or is it the next one?
It should be a video. Oh, I did it right.
Another great day at Lockhart Elementary School in Wake County, North Carolina.
Can you all hear it this time?
I can hear it.
Yay.
Students in Mrs. Hunt's third grade classroom are excited and ready to continue their innovative work that is redefining rigor, assessment, and accountability. In this class, after learning each math lesson, students are challenged to reteach and record what they learned, adding their own spin on the information. Once the students have completed a standards-based lesson, for example, about multiplication, they are directed to go to the back of the room to gather one whiteboard and a dry erase marker. They return to their desks and begin creating their lessons by adding handwritten information to the boards. Since students will be reteaching the information, they are thoughtful about how much to put on the board, what vocabulary to use, and what examples they need to include to best illustrate the content. While the students are working, the teacher sets up a tripod and whiteboard stand in the hallway, right outside the door, and simply uses her cell phone to record these one-take lecture videos. When a student has completed his or her board and is ready to teach their lesson, they step into the hallway, place the board on the stand, and press record on the cell phone. Then they sit down and teach the lesson, referencing the information they included on their board. When they are done, they simply press stop and their one-take lecture video is complete. The next student sets up and prepares to teach their version of the lesson, and this process continues until all the students have had a chance to record. Then, the teacher takes the cell phone and plugs it into the computer so the videos can be reviewed and uploaded to a playlist. Mrs. Hunt pulls up a few examples that are reviewed by the whole class, and then explains to the students how she wants them to use a rubric to independently evaluate their work and the work of their peers. The students are assigned to watch a few videos, including their own. The rubric requires that they look closely at what is good about the lesson, but also how each could be improved. They look for content-related issues such as correct use of vocabulary and use of appropriate examples. In addition, they are required to evaluate how well the information is communicated, looking for quality of the speaking voice and overall confidence in the presentation.
Think about parent conferencing. How powerful is it to actually have the students' work to be able to pull up and show the parents what the child has mastered, what they're proficient at, or what they need help with, and how they can help them at home.
I absolutely love watching my child the math videos because she understands them, and when she's at home, she's actually teaching me.
Teaching is the most rigorous form of learning, and in Mrs. Hunt's classroom at Lockhart Elementary, the students are also the teachers.
I think it's good for teachers to use this strategy because it's a creative way for children to show what they know.
This transparent classroom provides us a glimpse into the future of teaching and learning.
When I make these videos, I can see what my problems are and what I need to do to fix them.
Isn't that like Flipgrid almost? Can't you do that with Flipgrid?
Flavor of that. Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're muted, Jenny.
Sorry, I was muting for the doggone puppies. But anyway, with Avid, we did a lot of that with, they have whiteboards and they have to put their problem on the board and then everybody helps them work through it. This was more specific, more like Steve's visual step-by-step and being able to explain it though, because, sometimes a student, I know with me, with math, I could do it really well when my teacher was in the room. But as soon as I got home, I couldn't remember anything. And even if I looked at my notes, I didn't get it. Whereas with this, it would break it down step by step. And I would be able to identify my point of confusion and get help for that one specific thing. I don't need somebody to reteach the whole thing to me. I need help with that point on forward. And that's where I could look at my notes. I could talk to my friends or use my teacher as a resource. So I thought that was a really cool idea because just like you, Canberra, you can come up with ideas off of that and how we can generate that higher level thinking. Now it's Steve's gig. Kagan.
How many of you guys are using or seeing Kagan being used in the classroom?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
How are you using it in a digital world?
I don't know how they're using it in a digital world. I know in Chowchilla they've all been trained with Kagan methods, but I really, I haven't seen enough that I can see how they're using it now.
And Bev, Chowchilla is moving quickly to back in the classroom, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Are they
That was the word I heard. I heard last week that I think they have a target date of the first week in November, but I'm not sure about that. And they've got 4 scenarios about how they might want to do that. They had a meeting with all the teachers and had the teachers give their input. And so I think they're trying to decide what it will look like when they do.
Lanissa, did you tell me you were moving back to the classroom, or you had hopes that McSauce was moving that way?
No, we're not moving back. I haven't heard anything yet from us moving back.
Okay. And what side are you at?
I'm at Parkwood.
Parkwood, okay.
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything from Unified too much either.
So it would take Madera Unified opening up before you could get back, correct?
I believe that's what it is. Madera Unified, I think, has to ask for the waiver, and then the county has to ask for the waiver also. But then I believe there's a percentage of students it has to meet under, and I want to say it's either 25 or 20% of the students would only be able to come back.
Okay. Anyone else hearing any rumblings about possible school opening?
We applied for the waiver, but our board decided that we're gonna keep going with the waiver, but we're officially not gonna open until at least January. Because it doesn't make sense. They decided it doesn't make sense for us to open up a few weeks before all the, the holidays and the winter. And then that's starting a whole new routine. And then we're losing 2 weeks of instruction. And then you're opening up right in the middle of flu season. So it just doesn't make any sense.
And
then we're shutting down. So we're definitely not opening until at least January.
And I could see Chowchilla actually making that decision too. They're talking about the first week in November, but I could see them easily pushing it back to after the first of the year.
Mariposa's opening in a week and a half.
Mariposa's been one of the most stable counties in the state the entire time. Canberra, are you with Shawanaki? Is that right?
No, I'm Sherman Thomas.
Sherman Thomas. Okay.
I actually got an email through my personal email about McSauce that said they're starting a pilot program. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. And it's just some very particular schools that they're looking at bringing students back probably mid October. And it
Wow.
would just be for 2 days a week, 8:30 to 12:30, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you would remain with your class, no interaction with any other classes. And then the other 3 days would be distance learning. So, and that's on a voluntary basis, asking teachers if they're willing to do that. If they are, then they're looking at some specific schools to try that with.
Oh,
And would that be full capacity? Or no, you said 8 to
Well, I only have, like my class, I only have 9 kids, 9 adults, I should say. It's an ATP class. And
wow.
it looks like it would be Juvenile Hall, Apollo, Endeavor, Voyager, and Madera High. And I'm at Apollo. So I wasn't asked to be a part of the pilot. I know some teachers that have been. Personally, I don't mind coming back, but that's what I've heard.
I told my mom that I was going with some friends on a fishing trip in 2 weeks from now, and she was not happy. All right. So my point though is that no matter what, when we move back into the classroom, it's not going to be 38 kids in the class 6 hours a day. It's still going to be a hybrid situation where they're broken up into part A and part B, and half come on Monday and half come on Tuesday. But my understanding is that there's if it's morning with A, it's long distance in the afternoon with B, something like that, correct? Some kind of, so
that's in our schedule as an AM PM.
yeah.
Churchill is looking at that too.
Well, the suspicion is that the governor is going to say it still has to be every kid separated by 6 feet, maybe some plexiglass in there or something. My preschool wife is using, at one time, she was using clear shower curtains, because it was cheap and easy. Bottom line is that even if we were moving into the classroom, we're still going to be in a distance learning model probably through this COVID ramped up fast, but it's going down slow.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do we adapt some of these Kagan things that are really good into a distance learning model? Let me turn the page and we'll get some ideas here. So here's some, there's some resources. Well, you can come back to this. So if we're talking about, here's one that's.
This is junk slide.
Pardon me?
This isn't a real slide.
That's not a real slide?
No, I told you that to put yours in.
I misunderstood the directions.
Oh, sorry. So if you just want to go back and then just talk about them, because like if you go back one more.
So I messed up bad.
Yeah, so you could just talk about these different things, because I think almost everybody's been trained in Kagan.
Right.
It would just be how we adjust it to the now situation.
What are some knowledge building Kagan strategies that you've seen?
Knowledge building.
Is that the group setting stuff that you talked about, where the kids, basically what we just kind of saw, where you're doing group stuff?
That's one of them. Could that be done online, what we just saw with the video?
Cooperative learning.
Another one is repetition. Lots of repetition.
How would repetition work in the digital world?
well, I've had to do some choral responses and just having them still be muted and having them repeat after me the vocabulary word, because pronunciation's been really, really hard with things. Like when we're getting into, you know, content specific vocabulary. Like what was, there was one today, it was like, it was for math. Oh gosh, I can't remember, but I had everyone, okay, say it with me. And then I would do like my hand signals, like, okay, say this, now you, say this, now you, those kind of repetitions without, you know, that way I didn't even have to hear all the screams. I'll say it louder, you know. But that worked pretty well today. And I was like, I can see you not saying it. You have to say it.
With repetition, couldn't it also be doing it a different way, but doing the same material?
Yeah, yeah.
So activate different parts of the brain for the same topic?
Mm-hmm. Even kinesthetically and making the movement, you know?
Sure. Or group, you know, do a small group activity or do a class activity, then do an individual activity where it's kinesthetic, and then
oh yeah,
the choral response, and then maybe have them pair share. You've hit it now on 4 different levels.
Yeah.
But it's one topic, and that's in a sense repetitive.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. Trying to think where I could put that in.
Some teachers are using breakout rooms and others aren't. Where are you guys on that?
I have some thoughts. The breakout sessions for us don't really work because of all the settings that our district put up. And so, because if you do it with the breakout sessions, the links expire, like if I'm not in them. So I can't physically make the breakout session. So what I'm having to do is make them myself. And I was trying to do this with the group project, and it worked really well, but my computer ran super slow with monitoring everyone. So I was using, because I have like dual monitors right here, but then I have my laptop on the side. So then when I was going to each group, I would go to each group on my laptop, but have everyone muted on here. It was a major mess and a major headache, but it worked. The kids loved it. It was a nightmare for me.
Are you using Zoom?
I use Google Meet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we use Google Meet.
Because I know with Zoom, I did it quite a bit with my younger kids. And what I found was, of course, I'm doing a school where the kids' parents pay for it, so it's a little different. But the kids, I would break them in, and then I just realized that I constantly had to pop in without being predictable, and make sure that they weren't like talking about something ridiculous, gaming or whatever. And I did that quite a bit, and they loved it. But I had to teach them everything. I had to teach them how to take roles. I had to teach them what I expected. And that was the lengthy process.
Yeah.
And then once they got into it, they loved it. But I don't know how Google Meet works. So
I just told them I was recording everything and I would send it to their parents.
oh, nice. The other thing we talked about is if a kid is really becoming a punk or not following the rules, or having a separate breakout room and sending them there, and you go and have your talk there with them while the kids are working on something independent work.
Yeah, I've had to do that already a couple times. Everybody, I need to talk to this person.
Did it work?
It worked pretty well.
Because we're thinking about doing Refocus that way, because obviously that changes everything. You know, this whole virtual thing changes our normal plans too.
Some of the Kagan strategies are giving students roles in their breakout groups or their small groups. So can you do that in a large group where they're chatting with each other, or do you need to put them in a breakout room so they can actually talk?
Well, I think what Jenny said is true. I mean, you have to teach them how to do it first, and practice that before expecting them to actually be able to go into the rooms and be successful. Otherwise, it could be a mess.
With Avid, we had to do that a lot. Like I had to train them how to do Socratic seminar, how to do tutorials. And what I did, of course, I stole all these ideas. They're not my novel ideas, but I would take something really fun, like a riddle, and have them practice it with that, or with my high school kids, it would be like a Mensa question or something, and they'd have to try to navigate that together. And that was more fun than throwing my heavy curriculum at them and letting them work through the fun stuff first. And it was slow and painful.
Are you utilizing Google Docs in those breakout rooms so that 4, 5, 6 students are working on one Google Doc and contributing that way?
I didn't, but I think it would be a great idea.
Instead of making a poster, they could make a Google Doc.
That's
Which
what I did.
technically is a poster.
I Google Slides because Google Slides are a lot more editable in group projects. So because what they were doing was creating a storyboard with the story holes, because we read holes, and then they were creating like their own episode of each of holes. So they had to come up with a story as a team, and a script, a storyboard, and then a theme, and making sure it all fit. And that's what I did. I created a template and I gave it to each group, and they had to work on it daily, coming up with the script. And they had a goal each day. So each day they had this goal, like the theme had to be picked out. Then the next day, they had to have like a outline of their story. What was in the exposition? What was the rising action? What was the climax? What was the falling action? What was the resolution? And then the next day they started to come up with dialogue. What did they want to happen in, or what did they want the characters to say? So I had goals for each day, and that was on each slide, and it worked out pretty well. But again, it was so much work for me to like manage and like making sure every person was doing their part, because again, if one person doesn't do the part, then it was all a mess. But gosh, it was painful. I'm so glad it's over, but it was good. It was good.
Bev, are you seeing any of your junior high teachers using some of these strategies in a group setting? Are they telling these kids on Thursday during your asynchronous learning, the 4 of you need to get together at 8 o'clock and do this?
Well, I only have one junior high teacher this year, and to be quite, he's never mind. I have not seen that with him. Never mind. I have nothing to add.
Amelia, how are you seeing Kagan being worked in the classroom? Halima.
I'm still trying to figure out which one to click. You know, in regards to the kids or the team, or it doesn't matter?
What have you seen Kagan wise, either way?
I've definitely seen knowledge building. I think with my little kiddos, they're TK and K, and they don't have any kind of devices that have been issued, and they're not touch screens, so they're working off the phones and whatnot. And it was kind of difficult at first, but these little guys are really starting to get the whole routine, the whole structure, you know, what we're asking, what we're wanting from them. And it's just nice to see their spontaneous, there's spontaneous speech that's coming that hasn't been seen before. The kids are focused, and that's really hard for my little kiddos in moderate to severe. I'm really pleased with the direction that it's going. It's really become a nice little meeting place where we generally have 8 out of our 10 coming every single day.
Nice.
So it's a nice thing. And they stay for the whole 8:30 to 10 o'clock.
Wow. That's
yeah.
Do they have to come back in the afternoon?
Yes. Yes, they do. So we have a 10-minute break. We go for half an hour, 10-minute break. We work for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, do a 5-minute break, and then we finish up. And I always, at the beginning, ask to see their homework and talk about it. And at the end, let them know what their homework is and ask moms and dads if they have any questions. And then in the afternoon, we work one-on-one and individual goals, or we'll be able to talk through or discuss. And right now we're at the beginning. So we're helping parents support their kids at home. But so far, I'm just really pleased with the direction that it's going. Okay. I don't know if that answered your question.
One of the things that I'm hearing from my primary teachers in Madera Unified is that they're having great success and high attendance in the first session, but it's breaking down in the afternoon. They're having a hard time getting kindergarten, first, second, third graders back for the afternoon session, and attendance is low. Are you seeing that in Chowchilla, Bev?
Well, they are talking, are you talking about the schedule that they're bringing him back into the classroom?
No.
Okay.
Long distance learning, our Madera Unified has 2 sessions for the K3 and 3 sessions 4, 5, 6.
No, they have just one session. I think they started 8:15 for I think it's 1 through 3, and then they have it starts about 8:15 and it goes until 12:15.
Oh my.
Yeah. And then for the kindergarten, I'm not quite sure. They're 8:15 till 11:45, something like that. Yeah, that's about what they're doing there.
My goodness, that's a long day for a little guy.
It's a long day. A lot of crying, a lot of whining, lots of laying on the couch in the background with their legs up in the air. Seen that. Dancing. I was talking to a kindergarten teacher and it looked like whack-a-mole, the little squares, and their heads are all going different directions. And there was a little girl in the back laying on a couch, a kindergartner, with her legs, she was dancing her legs in the air. So.
Jenny said she did an observation and she was concerned because mom was walking through the house with the bathrobe on.
Underwear, only underwear in a shirt.
Oh,
I was like,
Oh my.
yeah.
I
that was-
just sat and laughed through the whole thing. Oh my God, it was hysterical.
We had a friend that decided to take a walk with their device, and someone was busy using the restroom and decided to come and visit them. That was interesting.
it's a
It was
whole
a
different
moment.
world.
Surprise.
I don't think Kagan's going to help us on that.
No. Excellent.
Well, if you don't know, Lanissa has nonverbal autistic children that she's working with. And so I don't know if are you trying to roll out cake and you're just trying to get kids to poke the right button and move the right parts and
Yeah, well, I have 2 kids that are consistent. A lot of the other ones aren't able to join because they don't have devices or the hotspots yet. But I do a lot of repetition, changing it up a little bit, but keeping it in a consistent order, like changing it just a little bit, but just so they know what to expect. And I do feel that I am losing a lot of them mid-afternoon, like you're saying with the other grades. But in the morning, I try to keep it more structured and they like it. They're happy in the morning. I do 2 sessions in the morning because my students, like you said, they're autistic, so they need that little break. So I do a morning 30-minute. I give them about 20-minute break. Then we do another 30 minutes. And then I do my afternoon one-on-one goal work, another 30 minutes. But by the time we get to the goals, it's a lot of me trying to calm them down, deep breaths, because they're kind of done by that time. It's almost, it's either time for lunch or they just ate lunch and they just want to relax, so I try to work through it. I just tell them, we could do it. Come on, deep breaths, one more to go. And then give them their favorite videos in between just to encourage them, little minute videos just so they can keep going. But the repetition is, they like that, just keeping it the same in the same order.
well, that must be exhausting for you.
Yeah, I'm an actress every day. I mean, today we were running, we were clapping, we were hopping, the kids all did it and they were enjoying it. So it was, it was.
You need to make a TikTok video because I watch teachers do that all the time. They're doing the whole dancing and, motions. Makes me laugh, but you probably would be perfect.
Yeah. Now more than ever, you have to be on, entertaining because you can lose them so quickly. I know I was talking to a couple of teachers. She said she was a 6th grade teacher and she had a couple of students, girls and good students. She said, but she saw in the background a door open and someone shove a 5-year-old in the room with her. And then the 5-year-old proceeded to jump on the bed the whole time. And then another girl was on her computer with her teacher, and someone came and plopped a 3-year-old down in the student's lap to watch. So, you know, they're doing their, you know, most of them are doing their best. It's just conditions are, you know, they're not great. They're in their house, you know, they want to eat and they want to play and they, you know, so seen some funny things.
There was somebody was telling me they were like looking at trends and thinking, you know, in a certain amount of years, there won't be any stores. We'll do everything online, buy our clothes, buy our food, buy our cars online. And then we moved the schools online and church online. And they said, well, this is the wave of the future. And the more we get into this, the more I think that's a wrong statement. I think that we are craving, well, I think first of all, that human beings are built for socialization. We need each other. We need that human contact. And so I don't see, you know, as much as I see churches going online, I also see a lot of churches out in parking lots because they're trying to obey the rules. And I'm going to tell you right now, our church is going to break the rules in the end of we're going to start meeting indoors, and that's the end of that. And if they want to arrest us, they can. But I already know that more than half of the churches are moving indoors, regardless of the governor's edict. I don't see school being this long-term. Long distance learning is not going to be the model of the future. And we're still going back to brick and mortar, and praise God for that, because I know y'all are, like I am, tired of looking at a computer and trying to reach out and touch people.
Yeah.
Well, and imagine if we feel that way, how the kids are feeling.
Yeah. You're right.
So one of the things that's really strong about Kagan is getting kids talking to kids. And that, like that video that we watched, the kids leading each other, and even, you know, I think of math, and I'm still old school, and I know the Common Core has come along and it says there's more than one way to solve a problem, and getting kids to share how they arrived at the answer is showing more than one way to arrive at an answer. How do we do that? We still have digital, and I'm convinced we're going to have long distance learning in some format through the end of the school year, through May. What do we do to help kids make these connections, to connect with you as a teacher and connect with each other and talk with each other without getting off task and going crazy? How do we solve that? What are some of the ideas, or what are some things that you've seen?
Something that I'm doing, we just started, is our school site bought this program called Imago, and it's actually a local company in Fresno that have social and emotional lessons, and they actually have lessons for life in general. They have skills based, like they have a class on there about you know, flower bouquets, and then they have like life skill lessons that are really, really awesome. But then they have like this social and emotional series that they go through a series of videos, and they have like these study guide questions. And we did our first lesson on Friday about resilience, and the kids, they craved so much to have those conversations about, you know, about what they're even going through right now with distance learning. You know, some of the things that I heard on Friday about, you know, a lot what some other people have been saying about, you know, it's been really hard at home with siblings or with moms not there. And I've had a couple parents flat out tell me that they don't really care how their kid is doing, and she's not going to do their work, then that's fine. You know, I'm not going to take time out of my day to make sure she's doing her homework. Okay. I've had a parent flat out tell me that. That was really hard to hear, but I've had, you know, these kids are going through so much, and I feel like it's really important to have those times and those conversations to air out that kind of stuff. And we've been doing our social emotional Fridays for a couple weeks now, and that's been helping a lot. And also my curriculum is really great. They have, I use Summit Learning. It's an online digital curriculum, and they have a lot of their curriculum is based on real life situations. Like we just read Holes, and, you know, they got to create, you know, a whole story based on these characters, but they got to have their own feelings. They got to say their own things. Of course, they're school appropriate, but a lot of the stories that I was hearing had themes about, you know, getting through hard times. And that's a huge correlation to what we're going through right now. And I was like, wow, I didn't even explicitly tell them to do that, but they came up with it on their own. Yeah, having those conversations is important, making sure that their voices are heard and they're not just like sitting in front of a screen listening to teacher talk all day. You have to build those relationships still.
Can you put the name of that in the chat?
The Imago, yeah. I'll put the website in there too.
Cool.
Well, social emotional is something that we're kind of bringing to the forefront, but it hasn't really been embedded in our curriculum. It hasn't been a high priority. It's mostly been a case by case. This kid's breaking down. What can we do for him? In a leadership meeting that I was in this morning, that was the whole topic, and really helping to understand that if teachers, if our culture on campus doesn't create a place where kids feel cared for, then we're going to have chaos and kids pulling out, kids absenteeism and problems. So social emotional is something that's worthy of spending our time on and ensuring that students feel cared for and respect and have a common ethical and moral values. So that's important. Celebrating even the little things like birthdays or accomplishments or achievements or whatnot. And that's, and it's work. It's hard work, but it's it. How are you guys doing? I mean, this is a safe place. I'm gonna turn the recording off for a moment.